The project investigates the surveillance on the human body and focuses specifically on the scrutiny of body image in young female athletes. This social problem has allowed me to question society's unrealistic expectations of the ideal athletic body and to look at the consequences that are attached to these societal pressures, for example, mental health problems. This social issue is problematic as it affects a large portion of young female athletes. Follow along as I discuss this very important issue that is so often ignored by society. In order to effectively investigate this social issue, the project includes a feminist perspective as well as Foucault's theory on surveillance and power. The application of these two theories allows the project's aims to address and scrutinise society's unrealistic expectations on the female athletic body and the consequences of obtaining this ideal athletic body in sport. So you may be wondering, why am I doing this? This social problem was brought to my attention in a recent ABC News article. Two young athletes were talking about their experiences at competing at an elite level. One of the talents was a female swimmer, who at 14 years old was suggested by her coach to undergo a breast reduction. This led to many body and mental health issues, which resulted in the swimmer quitting her sport a few years later. This article sparked my interest as I was once a national level swimmer, and I am now coaching the next generation of state swimmers. This article inspired me to create this video and get a conversation going about body image in young female sport and to help scrutinise these accepted norms about the idealistic athlete body image. This social problem largely revolves around Foucault's theory on surveillance and power. When you apply his theory to sport, it can be argued that the coach or team manager is the authority figure, which means the young athlete can be easily manipulated and influenced because of the coach's power. Foucault's theory will be useful to this social problem because it highlights the dangerous outcomes surveillance can have on those who do not have power. I have applied Foucault's concept to two case studies. The first case study describes the experiences of 3 adolescent Australian swimmers who trained and competed at an elite level. Whilst these lived experiences do not represent the experiences of all competitive swimmers, they do provide a look into the individuals holding positions of power and authority in the Australian swimming culture and the consequences that came from these practices. The dominant story that society knows is that coaches and managers nurture and develop the talent of young athletes. However, there is another narrative that is often left unspoken. In swimming, there is an unhealthy subculture where coaches encourage and promote the idea that the leaner a swimmer's body is, the better they can perform. This introduces the use of disciplinary power from the coaches, where they use their influence to normalise the surveillance of adolescent bodies. For example, the female swimmers in this case study were exposed to daily weigh-ins and skin fold tests, which the coaches recorded. However, the young swimmers never questioned this process as it was inscribed in the swimmers' bodies as normal. Even though there is no proven benefit in athletic performance by seeking slimness, it is a cultural practice controlled by those in power and reinforced through the practices conducted by most competitive athletes. Therefore, Foucault's theory would suggest that the more normal the practice seemed to be, the less likely the swimmers would point out its extreme invasive nature. Where these swimmers try to achieve a slim body, they put themselves through extreme practices such as purging or binge eating. For each of these swimmers, their practices to maintain a slim body affected how they lived 20 years after their career. The swimmers felt their body was still being controlled by the power figures in their previous life, as they were scarred by their adolescent practices. Many carried on to have mental health issues such as anxiety, depression, or eating disorders. The second case study involved surveillance at an international level of 800-metre Olympic runner Caster Semenya, whose body was scrutinised for her failure to appear passably feminine. Caster adopts a feminist perspective to comment upon the intrusion to Semenya's body, who at the time was only 17 years old. In order for Semenya to be identified as a woman, she had to undergo rigorous interrogation practices and surveillance of her body to be declared female. In comparison to her westernised white competitors, they were not required to undergo this same process. In addition, Semenya's gender was constantly questioned because of the preconceived notion that women who have higher levels of testosterone are too male to compete with the females, as it would be unfair to the natural woman. Semenya's body does not conform to society's expectations, and because of this, she is scrutinised. When applying Foucault's theory, the westernised sporting bodies and the media have the power to control the narrative of the ideal body. This particular case study provides an insight into the power dynamics and stereotypes in motion, not only at a local level, but at an international sporting level. Once again, it also highlights the scrutiny of body image in young females, if they do not conform to the ideal athletic body set by societal standards. What is this video trying to do? 1. Start a conversation about the surveillance of body image in young female athletes. 2. Expose the way those with a position of power or influence violate these young athletes' bodies in a variety of practices. 3. Highlight the many consequences that come with maintaining the perfect or idealistic athletic body, including issues of body and self-esteem and mental health. 4. Scrutinise these accepted social norms. 5. Change the dominant narrative. If you are an athlete or you know someone who is, this project is important as it will hopefully open up an opportunity to discuss these issues and look out for one another. I hope this video was informative. If you would like any more information on this topic, check out the links in the description below. I leave you with this: please start a conversation, get out there, and change the way society thinks of the ideal athletic body.